Okay, so yes, it's recording. So the questions were, what is your design process? Like Nathan, okay, we've seen your CV, we've seen your portfolio. It's really nice. But what's your design thinking process? Like, what's your design process? How do you design? And then the next question was, how do you get inspired to design? Where it's more like, where do you draw inspiration from? Okay, good. So these are the questions. So let me start by answering. The first question here is, what's your design process? I listed five design processes, and these five design processes are: number one is empathize, number two is no, this is number two. Number two is define, number three is ideate and collaborate, number four is prototype, and then number five is test. So that's what I'm about to explain to you guys, and that's why I said that your assignment today for the seven would be you're going to like explain to me your design thinking process. Okay, so that's why I'm going to take out my time to make sure I explain it. The slide is already on WhatsApp. I actually sent the slide to WhatsApp this evening. Okay, and then the second question was, how do you get inspired? So that's a pretty simple question. So I draw my inspiration from uh, two websites. The first one is Behance.net, and then the second one is Dribble with 3Bs.com. So these two, we'll talk about them much later. This is really pretty. It's actually very simple. You don't need to do much on them. So let's talk about this guy. So intro to UX design thinking process. Topic one. Slide number three. If you're following me with a slide, maybe on your phone or on your PC, it's cool. You can use your phone to just fill in slide, or you can just stick to my screen, whichever way, whichever one that works for you. Now, I'm reading. Both UX and design thinking are user-centered design methodologies with the same goal of producing pleasurable experiences. When dealing with wicked problems or challenging design problems that defy conventional conceptions of right and wrong, design thinking is particularly helpful. In summary, this is just talking about the importance of design thinking, this design and thinking, the importance of using the steps that I'm about to outline to you. In summary, then we'll go to slide 4. The design thinking process in 5 phases or 5 steps. Now, these 5 steps can be repeated to polish and improve solutions. All right, so they can be repeated to polish and improve solutions throughout the process. They are not always sequential, meaning that it doesn't have to be number one, then number two, then number three, number four, number five. So just note that word sequential. So I'll come back to it later. So avoid thinking of these steps or phases as being fundamentally hierarchical. Waiting with this one again, hierarchical or whatever, or linear. Rather, think of them as a journey with a direction and a destination in mind, perhaps with side stops or shortcuts. So we'll go to slide number 5. So slide number 5, we have number one, which is empathize. So empathy is number one. Empathy is number one on our design thinking process. So I just want you to note that empathy. I'm going to spell it here in the chat section and make emphasis on the Y, just because I want to and I can do it. Empathy. Now, what exactly is empathy? Now, Chamaka came to me one day, and Chamaka was like, Nathan, I need your help with something. And I'm like, oh, what's that? What's up? And she said, Nathan, I'm particularly in love with somebody. What's his name, that boy name again? His name is John. And Chamaka says she's in love with John. And Chamaka is asking me, how do I tell John that I'm in love with him without feeling like um, they say girls should not be the first ones to ask people out. Without him feeling like he can just say yes or no because I'm a girl. So listen. Don't take this thing the other way. Chamaka has good intentions for John. Chamaka likes John, but she doesn't want to come up front to John and say what she would like to hear John say to her, because she doesn't want John to feel like maybe this girl is cheap, or maybe this girl is too upfront with her feelings. Maybe I can just come in and have my time with her flex and everything. John might not have no, John might not have those feelings for Chiamaka. That's her fear. So she doesn't want to be used, or she doesn't want to just open up and have to say I'm here, no, or have to hear yes that is actually fake or a growing yes. She doesn't want to feel one sided love. Anyways, so Chiamaka is telling me her issue. Why is Chiamaka telling me her issue? Because Chiamaka has heard that I'm a therapist. Okay, a therapist is someone that can actually talk to people. So Chiamaka has heard that, oh, Nathan can actually reason with you. He can put himself in your shoes and give you the right advice. That's empathy. Because to put myself in Chiamaka's shoes and to tell Chiamaka what's best for Chiamaka at that particular moment, I would have to primarily feel what Chiamaka is feeling. So I would have to feel in love. I would have to, I would, Harmony and Backshaw Harmony, leave me alone. It's my illustration. Now, I would have to feel in love and try to put myself in the shoes of a girl. Now, there's this thing trending on Twitter and WhatsApp for why you go do this, why you go do this, all those on LGBTQ something. But that's what I'm referring to now. Nobody should look at me in the direction. Please listen to me and listen attentively. So I have to put my shoes myself in the shoes of Chiamaka and say, oh, I'm a girl, and this guy is a guy, right? I like the guy, and if I go up front, if I show him signs, he might respond because he's a guy, of course, you know. But I don't want to feel disappointed and all of that. So that's me putting myself in Chiamaka's shoes. So what do I tell Chiamaka? What I can tell Chiamaka is something like, okay, see, um, Chiamaka, I understand what you're going through. I empathize with you. I feel you. Like, no, 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 don't say that. I feel what you're going through. All right, and this is what I think you should do. So now, because you can feel what Chiamaka is going through, you are now capable of providing solutions. So you can tell her, this is what I think you should do. Okay, you know what you're going to do. Walk up to John and try to see how you can spend time with John and get to know the kind of person John is. But don't do it as though you have feelings for him. Do it like, oh, it's just normal, just normal friends, just normal friends. Andre, be serious. Be serious, Andre. Now do it like, okay, just normal friends, and then get to see if John can actually have the same feelings for you, or if John has those feelings for you before you make any moves. So if John does not have those feelings for you, I would advise you. So now you are providing solution again. If John does not have those feelings for you, I would advise you to not be upfront with your feelings and let it go. Or if you think that you should go ahead, you tell her, I would advise you, tell John what's on your mind and let it be. But then, whatever your decisions are, the first thing you did was to what? Empathize. So you basically had to feel what Chamaka was feeling, empathy. So now I'm going to explain this, relating it to a digital product. Now, empathy is the essential beginning point for effective design thinking solutions. And despite the significance of strategic business objectives, it's not your client who you should be addressing an issue for in the first place. The only way to find fresh solutions that locate and reveal emerging opportunities for companies is by understanding consumer demands, barriers, attitudes, and aspirations in order to properly internalize their experience on an emotional and even psychological level. This entails seeing and interacting with people. Now, the last point here, every stakeholder and designer during this phase must make an effort to put their preconceived notions aside and obtain actual insights that are pertinent to the problem and useful to the design team. Good. I want you to mark some words. Empathy. So I'm going to color this in red. So beginning point. So I'm going to color this in red as well. So then I'm going to color solution. And then I'm going to color it's not your client. And then I'm going to go all the way to understanding consumer demands, barriers, and attitudes and aspirations. Yes. And then every stakeholder and designer, I'm going to color these guys. Good. So let me relate this now to a digital product. Chiamaka's issue. Now, relating to a digital, you cannot see my screen, John. Can you see my screen? Please let me know if you can see my screen because John says he can't. If you can see my screen, please drop a text. I need to know if you can see my screen. Okay, Zema Samson can see it. John, you should be able to see my screen if Zema Samson can see my screen because I'm actually sharing it. Okay. So just work on that. Check it. Should be it could be from your end. Okay, I need someone else to confirm that they can see my screen, please, so that I know that when two or three are gathered, the screen is in their midst. Oh, John, you have to use your laptop to see my screen very very well, please. So let me proceed, please. Let's just move right now. Empathy. You know the story of Chiamaka. Now I'm going to replace Chiamaka with somebody called Mr. Obi Kubana. Now Obi Kubana is a businessman, and Obi Kubana owns a restaurant in Dubai. Now, Big Cubana has issues with people coming to his restaurant. So he comes to you and um, he says that, listen, okay, I'm going to use someone here, for example, let me say Monday James. So he comes to Monday James and he says, Mr. Monday James, I heard that you're a UI UX designer. I have an issue. And then you ask him, what's your issue? And he says, my issue is that when customers come to my shop, my restaurant in Dubai, they complain. They complain that they wish. They complain that coming down there is stressful because I live in an area that is remote. It's not very busy. So I live in an area that is not very busy. Transportation, they have to walk down a long distance. So it's like that's the issue that I have. How do I provide this my restaurant service to these people without having them come to me? Then Mr. Monday says, oh wow, oh, I understand you. You see that? He says, I understand you. Or he says, I can understand how you feel. Or he says something like, I can empathize with you. I feel what you're feeling. I understand that you are having losses of both clients and profits, clients and money because you are investing. Are you with me? So he says, Mr. Monday James is saying, I understand what you feel. He's talking to Mr. Obikubana. So then the next thing he does is what? Having understood that, having offered empathy, the next thing he does is solution. So what is the solution that he can offer to Mr. Obikuban? I can tell him something like, okay, you know what, we can have an app or a website for you, and what you're going to have on the website is a system where people can stay from anywhere they are and just order. So instead of them having to come to you, you would go and deliver to them. Problem solved. Just like that. Problem solved. Empathy, you have solved the problem. That is the work of empathy. Empathize. So that is the work of empathy. That is the work of, you know, understanding the users. So please pay attention, guys. Monday James, I used you as an illustration. Pay attention. I'm using it for the next one as well. Okay, so that is empathy, and I'm sure you've understood it. I'm moving on to the next one. Somebody called laptop just joined us now. Wow. So I'm moving on to the next one, please. The next one is number two. For all stakeholders, define and create a brilliant design brief. Listen to this one very attentively, like pay attention to me. You have empathized with the user. The first one is what? Number one is what? Empathy, right? So number two now is what? Define. You have to define. So what does it mean to define? Just I want to highlight it so that it's different from the rest of these guys. So what does it mean to define, right? So clarity, concentration, and definition are the main concerns of the processing second stage. To start making sense of the range of options you are considering, gather all the information. I'm highlighting some things about the customer needs, deals, blah 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 blah. What recurring themes or patterns are emerging? I'm going to highlight that. What unexpected or met needs emerged? Do we have the proper questions? I'm going to highlight that as well. Good. So now I'm going to explain them one by one. So in the define stage, what are you concerned about? Mr. B Kubana has told you his problem. You know the solution. But in the define stage, you want to consider more things. You want to ask more questions before you even think of your solution as being the absolute solution. What do I mean? A very good example is this. In Nigeria right now, your country, we just had our elections. The PowerPoint file is on the group. So in Nigeria, we just had the elections, and of course, uh, Tinubu won the election. Now Tinubu is supposedly is going to become the next what's it called? On May 29, he's supposed to be I don't know what they do for this country, but there's something they used to call it democracy. There's something they're going to do. So basically, when they do that, it's as if he's coming as a solution to all of Nigeria's problems. But what I am saying to you, making reference to the defined stage, is that despite the fact that Tinubu feels like our main solution, who be these people now? Who are all these people? Eh? Despite the fact that Tinubu feels like he's our main solution based on the electoral process, most people still feel like he shouldn't. So some people are defining, they are looking for clarity, they are concentrating, and they are defining. They are considering the range of options. They are gathering all the information. Do you get that? Do you understand that? So listen, listen, listen. So in the defined stage, you are not telling Mr. Kubana that, listen, Mr. Kubana, I understand you. What we need for you is to get you an application. No. What you're doing is you're asking him, the people that come to your restaurant and complain, are they more than the people that come and they don't complain? Do you see that kind of question? So that you can know if the solution you are offering is actually right. And then you ask him another question, because here you can see I highlighted you have the proper questions. You must be capable of asking the proper questions. So you ask him questions like, the people that complain or your customers, do they come and buy in bulk, or do they just come and pick small things? Necessary questions, the proper questions. You ask him questions like, yes, it's recorded, Mr. Laptop. So you ask him questions like, um, when the customer comes into your shop and they complain about the distance, do they expect, are they expecting a solution from, are they expecting a solution soon, or are they okay with managing it? Because he's complaining, but he's complaining, but that does not mean that the customers are not managing it. So you ask him, are you retaining customers, are they leaving? Necessary questions. So you would look for the best questions to ask him. It is now from those questions that you will now create what we call a brilliant design brief. A brilliant design brief. So this is your stage number two. To ask those questions with clarity and concentration, to know. You can ask him questions like, the people that complain, are they more males than females? Because of course, females might be the only ones complaining because of the high heels that they wear. I'm not saying you will tell Mr. Kubana this. I'm saying that it's something you might think in your head. So are they? Is it the males that are complaining, or is it the females, or is it general? Is everybody complaining? Because you want to know if the app can just be done for the females. It's possible. So you would think, you must first be capable of thinking before you ask the questions. Good. So I'm going to go to the next slide here. It says that the secret to finding the best ideas and achieving consensus along the road is to create a strong creative brief that was developed with strategic emphasis and creativity. Internally, a strong brief will give the design team direction and actionable information, but it also creates momentum. Let me shock you with one piece of information. Let me shock you. If, for example, you ask him what is the age range of people that are complaining, and then he tells you that the age range for people that are complaining is people that are within 60 to 80 years of age, do you know that that means that your application, the app you're going to design, will be more customized for people that are within that age range? That is the work of demographics. So that is why I'm telling you that these five design thinking processes is what takes care of everything they do in an application, anywhere in the world, anywhere in the world at all. So if the people that are complaining at 60 to 80 years of age, when you're creating the application, you will not make the login and registration process too cumbersome, because those people that are that age do not have the time to accommodate a lot of forms during registration process. Are you seeing where the design thinking comes into play? So those people that are 60 to 80 don't have the time to be guessing what button should do what on the screen. You're going to design precisely for them. And then if they are young people, you will now start thinking of features that young people are going to love in the app. This is the work of the define stage. Because for the past few days, all the designs that you have done are designs that were done copying a particular design, yes. But moving forward, you should be capable of doing designs from your inside. Doing designs from your inside. It is very taxing, but it is what brings the money. So if you're not capable of understanding your design process, you might find it difficult to work even when you are employed. So you must ask the right questions in the stage number two. Now, stage number three, we have ideate and we have collaborate. What is ideate? Now, it says here that this creative yet untidy phase can be fueled by brainstorming, mind mapping, landscape mapping, and post-it notes, among other techniques. Paragraph number two. The secret is to wetin be this? Foster an atmosphere. Let me highlight this. Foster an atmosphere where diverse and thought-provoking choices are welcomed and evaluated, with the aim of settling on a few of the most promising avenues to explore. Use your intelligence as a measuring stick, your clearly stated brief as a guide, and a SWOT analysis to determine the strategic viability of each possible option. What does this mean? Like, what does this mean to you? What does this mean to us? In the third stage, which is the ideate stage, you are thinking, you are brainstorming ideas, you are welcoming every rubbish idea. What do I mean? Mr. Kubana wants this thing done. You have suggested an application. Somebody in your design team, somebody in your design team is saying that, wait, oh, what if the application self, when you log on it, or when you actually log into the application, you can see the kitchen live. During this stage, it is welcome. No matter how stupid it is, no matter how stupid it sounds, it is welcome. You are going to consider everything. That is why it's called, this is a creative, but this is an untidy phase, because it is very untidy. So it is to foster, and this stage is to waiting be this thing again. Foster this wait, let me change this thing to create. Not the mail that will make a bite my tongue. This secret is to create an atmosphere where diverse and even those provoking thought choices are welcomed. So somebody is saying that the app, or whatever it is, let it be that they can eat on the app, welcome the idea. Just welcome it. But make sure you use your intelligence as a measuring stick. You see that? So let me go to slide number nine. So slide number nine says that now that you have a thorough grasp of your target audience and a clear, well-defined problem to solve, it is time to start thinking about potential solutions. That is the ideation. I'm going to summarize them. And when I summarize them, that's basically what you're going to tell me in the voice notes with your own words. So in the ideate process, you are now properly bringing out all the solutions because you have thought about everything. Everything has been thought about. Everything has been thought about. Now, number four, prototype. I'm going to come back to this number three when I want to show you something. Number four, prototype. Prototype is basically what you have been doing since day one, creating designs. That is in summary. So creating designs, that's prototype. And then number five is what? To test. So you will test the app, or you test the software or the website, receive quick useful feedback from people, and then you use those. When you get those feedbacks, you use them to go back to number one, because when the feedbacks come, you want to go and empathize again to know how they felt, how the users felt. You want to go and define again, you want to ideate again, you want to design again, that's a prototype, and then you want to test again. This is the way the world works in UI UX design. That is why WhatsApp will always come up with new features. That is why Twitter will come up with new features, because they are testing. They are testing, and They are getting your feedbacks are important. So when they see that this button here, people are not clicking on it, they ask themselves, why are people not clicking on this button here? And then they move it somewhere else that it's going to be clickable. So the question is this: how do you design? What is your design process like? And then I'm going to start. The first thing I do when I want to design is I try my possible best to understand the user. I try to understand the user. I empathize. I put myself in the shoes of the user because I want to know exactly what the user is feeling. Because that's the only way I can provide the best solutions for the user. If you tell this thing to an interviewer, they will love you even before you start answering more questions because they are going to be convinced that you are concerned about what the users feel. And then you go to step number two or design process number two, and you are like, when I've understood and put myself in the shoes of the user, the next thing I want to do is properly define the problem. I want to properly define the problem. I want to know what the problem is because it is those problems that I'm going to use to create my design brief. And my design brief is going to consist of all the options that I can use for possible solutions, all the information that I have to gather. I would have asked all the questions that I need to ask to create a proper design brief. The design brief is going to sponsor my ideate and collaborate process, which is where I entertain any idea at all. And then later on, using my intelligence, I make sure that I consider all the ideas that come and just pick the ones that are best for my users. So I make sure that I pick the ones that are best for my users. And then I go further to design those solutions because what everything you design is a solution. So you say I go further to design those solutions. And when I design those solutions, I get them tested because you tell them that the reason why I get them tested is because I want to understand if my users are satisfied and if more can be done to benefit the user experience. When you tell this to an interviewer, that is not Nigerian because maybe a Nigerian interviewer might be hungry, so you might be speaking rubbish. But we tell this to an interviewer that is, even if it's a Nigerian, but maybe the person there abroad, you understand, taking snow. If they're listening to a Nigerian or somebody who is outside Nigeria, they have the patience to understand you, or someone that has gone outside, or someone that has money. You understand? The point is that um, you should know the five design thinking processes. Now I'm going to take them again from number one with a different example. A girl named a girl named what is that girl's name again? What's the girl's name? What is her name? Or somebody give me the name of that girl. There was a girl that had an issue. Was it Chiamaka? Yes, Chiamaka was the name of the girl. I need another girl's name. I need another girl's name. Give me another girl's name in the chat section. I'll pick one. What is Tutu? Chat, text. Sandra. Good. I'll go with Sandra. Amaka. All these Igbo names. Joy. Please use products. Chizoma. Chizoma is the name of the girl. I'm going to use Chizoma. Chizoma is a girl. I think Chizoma, is this a boy's name? Anyways, but I don't know. So Chizoma works on the island. Chizoma works on the island, but Chizoma lives on the mainland. If you're in Lagos, you know that there's distance between the island and the mainland. It's like you're traveling, especially with all the traffic. Now, Chizoma, in the morning she wakes up by 5 and then she takes boats to the island. In the evening by 6, she takes boats to the mainland. That is her house. So she takes boats to work and then she takes boats back to the house. But Chizoma rather has an issue of safety because both people listen, both people are not 100% safe anymore, right? There's a lot of crime, and Chizoma is a girl that does not want to be a victim of maybe all the incidences or incidences that might surround around using those personal transport. So now this Chizoma, your name no dey my mouth. It's very very hard to pronounce. So I no go lie you. Steph. So Steph has this issue. I'm going to use Steph. Steph has this issue. So now They are asking you, a client comes and is asking you, how do you feel about this? What do we do about Steph? Because she has an issue. What's the issue? She goes to work, she comes back. She uses boats, but she doesn't feel safe. So what's the solution? What is the solution that we are going to offer to Steph? So we're going to say that, okay, look now, the solution is this. There should be a way for okay, yeah. What you ask, what's the problem? Because after empathy, the next thing you want to do is define, right? So you understand Chiamaka. Okay, yes, Chiamaka. Yeah, I understand you. I understand she's a lady and everything. So what exactly are the problems? Why can't she? Why does she feel unsafe? And then you hear things like, oh, Steph, right? Yes. You hear things like Steph is saying things like, oh, when I'm in the boat, the AC is too chilling. I might fall asleep. When I fall asleep, I don't want to wake up and I'll be where I don't know. You note that down. Steph falls asleep in the boat because she's very tired from work in the evening. Do you understand that? That's a problem that you're going to provide a solution for. And then at the end, when you come to the define stage, you're like, okay, you've asked all these questions. I did. What are the solutions you want to bring about? And then the next thing that comes to your mind is this: okay, let's create an alarm system, an application, a software or an app that is going to work as an alarm system for Steph. So whenever Steph is actually falling asleep, maybe when she gets to her house, it's going to ring. But what features are going to be in this app? You start to ideate, you start to brainstorm. The next thing somebody says, see, let the app work with Google Maps such that when she clicks on the when she clicks on the boats to order the ride and everything, she will still come to our app and say, okay, the app is going to collect her location and it has marked her home address. So it will calculate that the distance between where she is and her home address is 2 hours. So the alarm is going to be set for, let's say, every 20 minutes. So every 20 minutes, regardless of where Chiamaka is, as long as she did not turn off the alarm. I'm just saying this now, this is ideate and collaborate. So you're talking. So as long as she doesn't off the alarm, it will ring. Every 20 minutes, her alarm will ring, her phone will ring every 20 minutes. So that way, even if she's sleeping, she'll be able to just kickstart between those 2 hour and between the 2 hour ride. Somebody notes it down. It's like, okay, yeah, that's a cool idea. That's a cool idea. So note it down, right? Okay, yeah, fine. Another person comes up and the person says, what if we do this instead? What if we make Chiamaka to be the one that would set the time that she wants the alarm to ring and not make it constant? What if we make it flexible for her? So in the app, she can set, what, wake me every 30 minutes, wake me every 10 minutes, and then we note it down. Then somebody else comes and the person says, um, what if Chamaka's phone is mistakenly put on silent and the alarm does not ring? That's a problem. And then somebody comes up and say, okay, yeah, that's true, that's true. So what solution should we do to that? And then we say, okay, okay, but it can actually vibrate. And I say, okay, vibration, okay. And then somebody says, what if the phone vibrates and she can't feel it? Because it's not in her pocket, it's in her handbag. The girls, they work with handbags. And then you're like, oh yeah, that's true. And then somebody comes up with a smart idea and says, you know what, can we make this application integrate with wristwatch? So now we bring smartwatch into it. You see how the product ideate and collaborate stage has brought you all the way from it has brought you all the way from what seemed like nothing to now creating a wristwatch application like what the iOS devices do or Samsung devices have. So the application can pair her phone to her wristwatch. So instead of the phone to vibrate, the wristwatch will be the one to vibrate. And of course, if she's going to remove the wristwatch, that's her business. Okay. So but what you're concerned with is the fact that you have fulfilled all due diligence in terms of, oh, this is actually the best solution. So we say, okay, let's have a wristwatch for Steph. So Steph is going to be on a wristwatch, and it's the wristwatch that is going to give her the wristwatch is going to give her the alarm system. Ideate and collaborate. Do you know that if we spend 10 minutes talking about this thing, you will bring ideas and ideas and ideas, and we'll think and think, and we'll come up with the best solutions. That is where the ideate and collaborate comes into play. TikTok as an app did not just come up. No, no, no. They were product designers. They were UI UX designers in there. Now, the UI UX designers thought about every particular feature that TikTok was going to have, every particular feature. So you cannot imagine the amount of time they took to ideate and collaborate. The first thing you do when you want to design a product is not prototype. No, 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 no. Prototype is like one of the last things you do. If you have not thought about what you're designing, you cannot design it. Good. It's good that you noted that. And then after everything, we come to the prototype stage. There we start designing the products, etc., etc. And then after that, we test. Chiamaka test. Stephanie's test going to test the product. If it's cool, it's cool. If it's not cool, it's not. Those are the five design thinking processes, and that is how I want you to explain when you are given the assignment. So, what exactly is your assignment? The assignment actually is that you are going to create a scenario. Remember, I created two scenarios today. The first one was Chamaka. No, three. No, the first one was Chamaka. No, the first one was Chamaka, yes. The second one was Obikubana. I don't know which one I did first. And then the third one was Steph. So you are going to create one instance. So you're going to create a problem, create a solution, and you're going to explain the design thinking processes using voice notes. So you're going to speak, and it should not be more than should no, I think I don't want to set a time frame. No time frame. So you're going to speak, but just try to keep it decently around, let's say, 5 minutes max. 5 minutes max is okay, so that I can hear you. Okay, I'm going to come again. I'm going to come again. Maro Love, I get your suggestion. If we're dating, we'll be taking that suggestion. You understand? So the assignment is this. You are going to create a scenario. So you are going to create a scenario. Maybe I should write it down. Let me write it down so that everybody is going to see the assignment properly. So the assignment is this. You will create a scenario providing a problem and solution while explaining your design process in a 5 minutes max voice note. So I'm going to still share this to the group so that you can actually um, see it properly. So this is going to be your assignment. So you create a scenario. What is the scenario? Something like a story, just like I did. Because see, let me tell you the truth. Let me tell you the truth. You must be capable of telling stories. We can tell stories. You understand? Because that is how your mind works. You should be able to think for every user. Do you know that the WhatsApp you use, if you think if you cannot think of how many people they thought about before they built it the way they did. UI UX designers, we think deep. We think deep. There's a reason why when you scroll the the status and the chat session on Android phones is not going away. The reason why when you scroll it sticks there. There's a reason why. Okay, if you look at this PowerPoint now, let's use this PowerPoint presentation. There's a reason why these guys are on the left here and they are not on the right. We think. There's a reason why these guys are arranged like this. We think. UI UX designers, we think. There's a reason why when I click here, this guy comes up under this guy. These two replace fonts, blah blah blah, and not here. We think. So your job is majorly thinking. By the time you cover the aspect of thinking, everything is just going to be within your fingertips. Like everything is going to be within your control. If you can think. You understand? You would have to use your mind. You would have to open your mind to several possibilities that are welcome, several possibilities that are actually possible within that thinking circumference or within that thinking space or habitat. If you cannot think, you might not be able to provide the best solutions. Recently, I was tasked with providing a solution to an application. I was tasked with producing a solution. Now I've been very busy, but the way my mind works, I think maybe it's because of the level of experience that I have. I can be tasked with providing a solution and I just need 5 minutes. Now the problem is not to think, the problem is sparing 5 minutes to think. That's the problem that most people have too. The problem is not that you cannot think about all the solutions that a product can have. For example, um, Ifeanyi is a boy that loves Ifeanyi loves sports, right? And Ifeanyi is a footballer. He plays in the Nigerian league, and Ifeanyi wants to blow. He wants to play somewhere in Europe. Now, what Ifeanyi is looking for is a way to connect to agents abroad. Now, as he tells me the problem, what is the solution? The solution has to be digital because all you do is digital, right? So you are saying, okay, can we have an app on Play Store where agents can just be scouting for talents? Can we build an app where talents can register and agents can scout for them? But then somebody's asking, the rate of crime, what if people are duped and everything? They will start thinking of security measures one by one, one by one, one by one, one by one. We are cheating to make sure everything is tight. That is what thinking does. If I give you that problem and you give it 5 minutes, you will think of solutions that you would think that you were not going to actually produce in 1 week. But the problem is that we are too distracted as people. There's a lot of things taking your attention. But once you give it 5 minutes, you will find out that there is just so much you can deliver from your own mind. I'm not even talking about taking from other people. I'm talking about your own mind. Very good. Now that I've settled with the aspect of thinking, what I want you to understand is that this is what rewards. If you can think, if you are capable of thinking, it's going to reward you. It's going to reward you really, really well. Now, the next question was what, Seth? What's the next question? Where did you draw inspiration from? Good question. So I want to answer that question like right now. So um, I'm going to share my desktop, my tablet instead. I'm going to share my this guy instead so that you can actually see my screen. We have just 10 minutes. Thank God it's a theory class. We're not staying too long. So, no, this is not the one I want to share. This is the one I want to share. So, the first site I said is what? Behance.net. Now, Behance.net is a website where designers like you actually go to, and when they design, they just go to Behance and they just put it up there. You understand? They just put it on Behance. It's like a portfolio. And then the second one is actually dribble.com. I'm opening it on another tab, but you won't be able to see it until I share that particular tab, but it's fine. So I'm just waiting for Behance to work fine. So let's say I want to design an app for e-commerce, right? Now I want to draw inspiration. I said draw inspiration. I did not say copy you. I did not say you're going to copy. I said you want to draw inspiration from Behance or Dribble, right? So I'm just waiting for whichever one is going to load first, anyways. I follow them since if I know. Anyway, so you want to draw inspiration, right? So you come here now, and then I can just come to Behance and search for e-commerce, right? Just go for e-commerce. Let me see e-commerce apps. Let me draw inspiration. It might be inspiration for what colors I will use. It might be inspiration for how am I going to even design this thing safe. How will I design this thing? And then when you come over here, others have gone before you. You're not alone, and they've designed wonderful things as well. So all you need to do is just come here and see what they've done. It's going to inspire you. You're going to see. I tell every student of mine this. I say, the more designs you see, the more designs you can create. That is what I tell all my students. The more designs you see, the more designs that you can actually create. So this is just taking a while to load. I believe it's because of the network on my end, but it's not a problem at all. So when you go to behance.net, just search for anything at all. You will see a lot of fine designs. Like there's a lot of fine designs that you will see, you will enjoy, you will like the way they come. It's just nice to see them. You understand? That is the essence of using the Behance. So you're not going there to copy what they did. No, no, design for design. No, no, you're not. You're not going there to do that. You're going there to draw inspiration from these designs that have been previously done. So that is actually the answer to the second question. It's taking a lot of time to load. I don't know why. I really don't know why. But that's the answer to the question of how do you get inspired? Like what inspires you? Where do you get your inspirations from exactly? Like where do you get your inspirations from? And I just tell them I actually do this from I go to Dribble and Behance. I see a lot of fine designs. I love to see designs and you're good to go. Like you're just good to go if you tell them that oh I love to see designs, I enjoy seeing designs on Behance and Dribble. That's all. E no load though, that's why it's showing this thing. It didn't load, but I think one is actually loading. Okay. Now look at this girl here called Darina Mia Asofa. Now this girl here designed an e-commerce something. I don't even know if it's UI design because I didn't see the thumbnail. No be my language with this, so no vex. So let me share Dribble tab instead. So you can see this Dribble tab now. Imagine I come here now and I'm looking to design an app like this one here. Let's say, look at this one now. You come here and you say, oh, these two colors match. Oh, let me use them for my next design. Boom. That is inspiration. That is inspiration. You come here, you look at something like this, you say, ah, I can have a screen like this, oh, a splash screen. When we go deep into app development from design thinking, you understand what I'm saying, probably in the next class. And then you look at this one, for example, say, ah, look at this color combo. It makes sense, go. You grab it. That is just it. You come here now, for example, let me say I'm looking for something like, let me search for something. But hope you can see the dribble screen, right? Hope you guys can see. Yes, I'm sure you can see it. Okay, yeah, yeah, I'm sure you can see. So I want to search for something. It takes time to respond. I'll just go to that. I just said. So imagine you want to do a finance app now, for example. You come here and you see this one, and you're like, ah, man, this dark mode is fine. You know what? Let's use dark mode for this design that we're about to do. That is it. That is what you're doing here. You're drawing inspiration. You're coming here to see what those that have done, it, how they what they did, how fine it is, and draw inspiration from there to create your own designs. If you're not inspired, you can't deliver at your best. There must be something driving you. There must be something that actually inspires you, and that is the work of this Behance and Dribble. Right? So you use the two of them. You can alternate the two of them whichever way to get inspired. I dey try load them, but my internet is probably very bad. I'm even surprised that the call is not breaking. But you can do your best to actually visit them much later. So, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of our class today. That brings us to the end of this class where we discussed the five design thinking processes. Number one was I'm going to stop sharing this screen. So number one was what? Somebody type number one for me in the chat section. Sorry. Laptop recap the assignment. Yes, I will send the assignment to the group. You don't have an issue. Just somebody tell me what was number one, the design thinking processes. What was number one? Empathize, not emphasis, please. Empathize or empathy. Yes. Number two was what? What was number two? Define, exactly. Number two was define. Okay, yeah, I get you, Stella. It was a typographical blah 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 error. Number two was to define. You're correct if you're correct. Number three is what? Ideate is correct. So ideate, you are taking a lot of options in your head. You are thinking, you are brainstorming, you are considering all the options. Number four is what? Prototype is correct. Yes, you're correct. So prototype, you start designing all those solutions, putting them on digital screens and blah blah blah. So you're correct. Number four is prototype. Number five is what? Testing, and that's correct. Now you want to test with the users. You want to know how the users have used the platform and how it's working for them. So you can now know if you're going to revisit stage number one or you're going to go into any of the stages to bring any solution that should work best for them. And what are the two platforms that you're going